There's a lot of excitement in the world of Magic the Gathering right now surrounding a brand new leak. Specifically, the Pioneer Challenger decks for 2022 have been leaked. However, there are some pretty big red flags here.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The Magic Historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings! Owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends, I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered to discuss a very interesting situation. The new Pioneer deck leak. Now, without any further ado, I'm going to get the image up on the screen for you to take a look at. And you will see right here, we have the Pioneer Challenger decks 2022 image. This is what was leaked. You can see there are an array of 4 different decks. Now, a bunch of people are super hyped about this for a few different reasons. First of all, people are happy whenever a new Magic product comes along, but specifically, Pioneer has been languishing. Pioneer was announced a few years back. In fact, I got some inside information and was able to report on Pioneer before Pioneer was officially announced. So in some ways, Pioneer holds a special place in my heart because I thought that was really neat. But either way, Pioneer is a format that really hasn't been given the opportunity to grow enough, but there is genuine demand for it. And that's where you see things like the concept of challenger decks being provided for this format, right? Obviously, Wizards wants to sell decks into any format that is possible. When you take a look at this image, you can see you've got a range of different decks. You've got some kind of Rakdos Sacrifice deck going on. Perhaps that's like a cat build based on the cards that you can see up at the top, the cat cauldron kind of concept, right? You've got a Winota swinging with your squad style deck. You've got a Giganta 5-color deck. You know, you've got this range of different options. You've got a Lurrus deck there as well. And on the surface of it, when you take this in at a glance, your brain goes, oh, you know what? This all makes sense. I could see these all being Pioneer decks, and this is the way things are going to roll out. They do, in a lot of ways, look like the sort of products that Wizards of the Coast makes. But this, what we have here, is truly insidious because I don't believe that this is actually real. I'm going to go over the different details, and I'll give you a moment while I talk about something in terms of this to take a look at the image before I start to give you the items that will make it more obvious for you that this is pretty much guaranteed to not be a real thing. So, I said in yesterday's video, you have examples of rumors that are very weak and examples of rumors that are very, very strong. Yesterday's video was a great example of a strong situation. This is a fantastic example of a weak situation, but it's built upon people's hopes, okay? So let me tell you why this works so well. And it ties into the philosophy that I use when I make my April Fool's videos. If you want to trick somebody, don't make everything up out of whole cloth. Take what they want to be real and make it real. That's why my April Fool's videos get people, because when everybody's talking about Wizards of the Coast is being sold, I do an April Fool's video on Wizards of the Coast being sold, and everybody already believes it because they want it to be real. It makes it way easier to make a lie convincing, and that's what's going on with this image. People are desperate for Pioneer products, so desperate that they won't scrutinize what they're seeing. The majority of responses to these images were people going, I'm so excited and happy that we're getting more Pioneer products. It's all exuberance. And there's a few people going, no, wait, look at this. There are a bunch of tells. So, let's start to go through these tells. The first one I'm going to point out is take a look at the third deck with Winota on it. Now take a look at the other 3 decks and see how it says Magic there on the box. You notice how Magic has the orange Planeswalker, orangish red Planeswalker symbol beside the word Magic on every deck box? Oh wait, it's missing on that one deck box. Now I know what you're saying. It's like, you know what? Wizards of the Coast does make a lot of mistakes. They certainly do. And when it comes to providing digital images of their products, we have seen many, many problems. We've seen cards missing watermarks. We've seen cards with improper wordings and things like that. When we got the product later on, some of it turned out to be fine. But either way, if there is some kind of inconsistency with a digital image that's provided by Wizards of the Coast or whatever else, it doesn't automatically make this sort of a fake thing. Now, this isn't an image that was provided by Wizards of the Coast. I don't want to put any confusion in there, but that's just the first thing I'm going to point out. Now, when you start to tack these all together and add them up, you will see that unfortunately, this can't be real. So I hope you didn't get too excited about it. Now, another thing, a really, really obvious one, is take a look at the deck names. If you look at the deck names, the first two deck names are all normal in terms of you just have the first letter capitalized and the rest of the word is all in lowercase. But then the next two decks have their name all in caps, like they're an online grandpa screaming at somebody, "How do I get Amazon?" You know what I mean? It's that kind of a thing. So why do you have decks where two are in caps and two aren't? It's like, all right, and then move along. What's the next item on the list? Well, take a look at the Sylvan Caryatid, right? That one is located above the Gigantha deck. They're using the older formatting for this. This is essentially an older version of this isn't the kind of stuff that Wizards of the Coast does. They make certain mistakes, but not these ones, right? So you have a number of all of these different options going on where you've got the concept where, okay, here's our challenger decks. Here we have a situation where the names don't match up even consistently across them. We have improperly formatted cards. We're missing color from the boxes. It's all essentially low-hanging fruit in terms of deciding, we already know what is going to be at least somewhat strong and relevant in Pioneer. So you've got a scenario where you're taking a bunch of details of what people already want and feeding it to them, right? And I'm sure the deeper you get into this, the more you will realize there are additional problems with this too. Like take a look at the Rakdos deck, for example. Why is the Pioneer thing across the side obscuring part of the word magic as well? The more you go through this, the more you start to realize that there's just too many of these little details that go, bro, this is fake. Now, whoever took the time to put this together is one of the people who understands the fundamental nature of how to fool people, because this really does a decent job. If you were just to show this to the majority of Magic players, their reaction would be most likely to either criticize or applaud the card choices and deck selections, as opposed to really pulling out these minor details, right? Because our brains are kind of hardwired to go as fast as possible, and by that I mean they tend to just throw away information that they don't really need. Our brain just goes, don't need that information, forget it. So you take this all in at one glance and you go, boom, we've got Pioneer decks, we're going to be golden, we're going to get Winota going on, oh no, the Cat Oven deck's coming back, that's garbage, and we'll use it with Bolus's Citadel, like all this kind of stuff. It screams legitimate at a glance, but under even a modicum of proper scrutiny, this all falls apart. And I mean, in some ways, this is on Wizards of the Coast for not really feeding the demand of Pioneer. It's not their fault that people are making these fake images. I want to be clear about that. What is their fault is they haven't fed the Pioneer community enough stuff to the point where the Pioneer community is so starved for attention and anything that the tiniest little hint of something will cause them to rise up in joyous anticipation. And that's really bad news for Wizards too. People who got excited about this and find out that it's fake, they may be like, I don't like the person who made that. But at the same time, it's also just going to give them somewhat negative feelings towards the game overall. Now, that's not a huge issue, but it is a letdown. If you are super excited about Pioneer, that is your format, and you're like, whoa, check out these decks that are coming out. Wizards is definitely supporting it. And on a side note, I am expecting to see some more Pioneer products coming at some point in this year later on maybe, and towards the beginning of the next year. We'll see if that actually turns out to be the case. Wizards will be losing out if they allow Pioneer to really languish any more than they have. Don't let it turn into what happened with Brawl, where you made a format and then essentially just abandoned it to the players and it just fell apart. Because Pioneer has the great potential to take up the mantle that modern used to hold, right? Modern has moved closer to being like vintage and crazy, where it's like everything's super expensive and nutty. And Pioneer is like, hey, do you want a format that doesn't rotate as much and you can use a wide base of cards in and isn't too incredibly expensive at this point? I mean, ultimately, Pioneer will probably lead to the same effect. As formats become more popular, more people play them, it drives the price of the cards up. So I expect if Pioneer really does become entrenched, that sometime far in the future, we'll be talking about the new version of Pioneer, since Pioneer will have become like Modern. But either way, I am sorry to disappoint you, my friends, if you thought these decks were real. I had to take the time to talk about what was wrong with them, give you guys an idea, and I thought it was the perfect contrast to yesterday's video, where the stuff we're talking about there is pretty much guaranteed to happen, pretty much, versus this, which is totally just made up by some random person on the internet. So, big thank you to all my patrons. Gonna leave some links on the screen to some good stuff. I opened a fun box on a live stream yesterday on my other channel. I'll leave that up for you if you want to check it out. Thanks for coming by. See you next time.